An excursion to La Rochelle, 70s disco, rock climbing, a musical,
What are you gonna sing?
my karaoke public debut,
On the wall? Oh, first time karaoke.
all on the same day. Stay tuned to watch all this happen on day 3 of this Royal Caribbean cruise on Anthem of the Seas. Coming up next. Bonjour, it's Ken here and welcome to my channel, Ken Travels 360. Today is day 3 of the cruise and Anthem of the Seas will dock at its first port, the La Palisse port of La Rochelle, in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region of France. La Rochelle is a beautiful city on the French Atlantic coast and is famous for its 3 towers. Today, in this port call, we'll be visiting the old port area, which is the most picturesque part of La Rochelle.
The local time is now just past 7:30 and we're up and early, ready for today. It's really rare for me to see a sunrise in general, but I'm really glad to see it. It's really beautiful and amazing.
The ship is slowly getting into La Palisse port now. La Palisse is a commercial port and is situated 6 kilometers to the west of La Rochelle.
So I'm just on my way to breakfast. The ship has definitely docked now. It's a nice sunrise, and if I pan to the left onto the other side of the ship, now you can see Ile de Ré bridge.
That's the island Ile de Ré.
Originally, I had plans to go there to sunbathe because they have really nice beaches. But the transport, the public transport to go there stops after the end of August. And the weather is not exactly beach weather, so I've ditched that plan.
The bridge actually looks quite stunning. This 2.9 kilometer long bridge connects Ile de Ré to La Rochelle, and it was completed on 19th of May 1988.
Anthem of the Sea has just docked at La Palisse, the port of La Rochelle. So just got off the ship.
I don't think I've shown just how enormous Anthem of the Sea is. Maybe from this angle you can appreciate how big it is.
So at La Rochelle port, they lay on loads of complimentary shuttles for cruisers to get to the town. As you can see, the queue for the shuttle just gone quite massive. The lesson we learned there is the later you get out of the ship, the longer is the queue.
Very soon, we got on the free shuttle and we arrived at La Rochelle. The shuttle dropped everyone off at the end of Allée du Mail and in front of this beach called Plage de la Concurrence. At this point, I do have some sad news to report. There were some issues with my external microphone at this point, but unfortunately, I didn't realize that until a few hours later, so for a while, I'll be mostly voicing over. Anyway, from the beach, a few minutes walk brought us to the ramparts and a fort, and here there is a bridge, and from here you enter the city. La Rochelle is famous in the Francophone world for the French language music festival, Les Francopholies, that is held in July every year there. In front of us, we spotted a beautiful half-timber house. La Rochelle is famous for its 3 towers. They are La Tour Saint-Nicolas, St. Nicholas Tower, La Tour de la Chaîne, the Chain Tower, and La Tour de la Lanterne, the Lantern Tower. First, we will visit the Lantern Tower. The origin of the Tour de la Lanterne dated back to the end of the 17th century. Located on the corner of the sea wall, the Lantern Tower is the last medieval lighthouse on the Atlantic coast, and it has always been a lighthouse and a prison. It is 55 meters high, topped by an octagonal Gothic spire. Inside, it has more than 600 graffiti sculpted by prisoners over 3 centuries. So we're just outside the Tour de la Lanterne. Let's go visit. So normally they charge €9.50 to visit all 3 towers, but today the chain tower is closed, so they charge a reduced admission of €7.50 to visit the 2 other towers, La Tour Saint-Nicolas and this one, the Lantern Tower. Inside the tower, we found a remarkable series of graffiti in every room. They were carved into the walls by pirates and prisoners who were held here when it was converted into a prison. There are hundreds of them, and each of them has a story behind, but we don't have time to cover them in detail. As of the 16th century, the tower was used as a prison. Sailors and prisoners of war captured at sea were locked up here, who were mainly English, Dutch and Spanish. Protestants were also locked up when the Edict of Nantes was revoked, as well as militants from the Vendée. There are 158 stone steps that spiral up to the lantern at the top. Prisoners use this as their exercise, and we are following their footsteps. We reach the 2nd floor, where we find room number 4, and there is an exhibition here, Remarkable Gardens of Nouvelle Aquitaine. We climb up a few more steps, and eventually we got to the top.
This is the inside of the octagonal spire tower. So we finally reached the top of the Lantern Tower. The view is really good now. You can see over the whole town. In front of us is the old port. It's particularly attractive, and you can easily see the other 2 towers from here now as well.
In 1822, Le Quatre Sergents, the 4 sergeants, who were the ringleaders behind a plot to overthrow King Louis XVIII, were arrested in La Rochelle, 2 of which were imprisoned in the tower before being guillotined in Paris. This story earned this tower the nickname Tour de Quatre Sergents. La Rochelle is also known as La Ville Blanche, which means the White City. This is because of the luminous limestone facades of its towers glowing in bright daylight. Right, we finished with the Lantern Tower. Let's go to the next tower, the Chain Tower, over there. Tour de la Chaîne, or the Chain Tower, was built between 1382 and 1390 after La Tour Saint-Nicolas was built. The name of the tower came from the big iron chain that was raised between the other 2 towers at the harbour entrance to La Rochelle. This chain had to be moved with a winch to let boats in and out of the Vieux Port. The captain of the tower therefore monitored the boat's movements and passage rights and fees. Unfortunately, the tower was closed on the day we visited. Apart from the superb views from the top, there is supposedly an insightful exhibition on French migration to the New World, mostly Quebec, in the 17th and 18th centuries. La Rochelle is one of France's foremost seaports from the 14th to 17th centuries. The early French settlers of Canada, including the founders of Montreal, set sail from here in the 17th century. As the tower is closed, we'll walk around to see the Grand Horloge and the Vieux Port. While doing that, I'll tell you a bit more about the Chain Tower. As the tower was a powder keg during the Fronde, which was an uprising against the monarchy during the early reign of Louis XIV when he was a child, the tower exploded and for 300 years was left open top. Important restoration work took place in the 20th and 21st centuries when the castellated rampart walkway was rebuilt, a new roof was put in, and 2 indoor floors were reinstated. The city has lots of beautiful half-timber houses, and they are protected from the salt air by slate tiles. Next up, we visited Église Saint-Sauveur de La Rochelle, the Saint Xavier Church of La Rochelle. This church was first built in the 12th century by the monks of the island of Aix. Since then, it has been destroyed and rebuilt 3 times. In 1419, it was ravaged by fire and then rebuilt. Then, in 1568, the church of Saint-Sauveur was again destroyed by the Protestants of La Rochelle. A third church was then rebuilt in 1669. Another fire devastated the church in 1705, and the portal is the only vestige of that fire. The present church, the fourth version, dates from 1718. Afterwards, we went into this coffee shop behind called Nagoya to have a coffee break. Then it's time to go visit La Tour Saint-Nicolas. On the way there, we spotted a few interesting things, including this Monument aux Soldats et Marins, La Grande Roue, which is a Ferris wheel, and a beautiful old lighthouse.
So they have opened the bridge to let this boat to come through. So La Tour Saint-Nicolas, according to legend, the Tour Saint-Nicolas was built by the Melusine ferry while she flew over La Rochelle with the stone from a destroyed castle nearby her apron rib. The stone fell on top of one another and formed La Tour Saint-Nicolas. The tower, which has no evidence in any historical document as to when it was built, makes up the entrance to the La Rochelle Vieux Port, along with the Tour de la Chaîne on the opposite side. For decades, it acted as a defensive barrier between the seafront and the city. With a real urban keep and a palace looking out over the sea, this military building symbolized the power and wealth of La Rochelle. The 38-meter tower was completed in 1376 and is built on long oak sticks driven into the mud and wedged by stones. During its construction, the tower sunk into unstable ground and leaned to the northeast. It was then reinforced from the second floor onwards and is straightened up again. This slight tilt can still be seen today. From this angle, the Tour de Saint-Nicolas looks really tilted. Alright, there is a queue to get into Tour de Saint-Nicolas. This is La Salle du Capitaine, or the Harbour Master Hall. Okay, we continue to climb up the tower. We finally reached the top of the tower and this beautiful view of the Vieux Port here. Over there, on the far side, is the Église Saint-Sauveur that we visited earlier. The weather is really beautiful today for all the sightseeing here in La Rochelle. Having been in the hands of both the French and the English by turns, the city of La Rochelle negotiated its autonomy from both kingdoms. In 1372, during the reign of Charles V, the city finally became French. A major program of fortification strengthened the port's defense with the rebuilding of the Tour de Saint-Nicolas and the Tour de la Chaîne. These two towers came to be the symbol of renewed alliance with the King of France. Rochelle was a Protestant capital between 1568 and 1628 that attracted the wrath of the King of France, who called into question the city's autonomous status. The Great Siege, led by Cardinal de Richelieu, subjugated La Rochelle to Louis XIII's authority. The king ordered the destruction of the fortifications. Only the towers were spared. Okay, it's time to go back to the ship. We'll walk along this pedestrianized street. So, we had a great stay in La Rochelle, and we got the shuttle back to the ship. The ramp to go back up the ship can be a bit steep.
The great thing about being on a cruise ship like this is that after a good day of sightseeing, the day is still not finished yet. I decided that I would try the rock climbing that day. Just before the cruise, I went to a bouldering gym called City Bouldering to learn about climbing, and I sprained my ankle after a bad fall. If you want to see how that happened, click on the video link above. So, as I have just recovered from that sprained ankle, I was rather cautious with this rock climbing. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, as that will really help this channel grow, as YouTube will then spread this video to more people, and I can then bring you more content like this. And if you haven't done so yet, Please subscribe to my channel with notifications enabled. This way, you won't miss another video from me. I would have really loved to get to the top and ring the bell, but alas, I didn't manage to do that. It was actually quite hard work, and when I was high up, looking back down, it was a bit scary even though I had harness.
Oh, can I get a chocolate and vanilla self-serve, please?
Chocolate and vanilla separate? One chocolate, one vanilla?
Yeah, no, 12 together. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as you may or may not be able to see, the ship is now leaving La Rochelle. We have a great day here, so we really enjoy it. So, as we leave, Ile de Ré is getting lit again.
Next, we went to the main dining room to have dinner. As it's exactly the same as yesterday, I will skip this part and go straight to the next event, the musical, The Gift, in the main theatre after dinner.
You wanted excitement and adventure, escape from a whole new world. Yes.
Next up is the karaoke night. I've done karaoke before, but it was always in the pirate's room. But today, I've decided to do it in front of a public audience. This guy before me has made me rather nervous by setting a rather high bar for the evening.
Hope you don't mind, oh, hope you don't mind that I put down your word. What are you gonna sing? I'm gonna sing Wonderwall. Wonderwall? This is my first time. Oh, first time karaoke. Oh.
So, just a warning beforehand, I'm no Liam Gallagher, so if you prefer not to hear my singing, this is now the time to turn down the volume.
Today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna come back to you. And by now you should have someone realize what you got to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I'd like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And I know you're my love. And all the roads that lead you there are winding, and all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I'd like to say to you, but I don't know how. So maybe gonna be the one that saves me. Gonna be the one that saves me. Gonna be the one that saves me.
For all the Oasis fans out there, apologies for butchering possibly your favorite song. Right, it's time to get some drinks at Café Promenade.
Right, the time is now 10 p.m. There's gonna be a disco in 15 minutes. I was just down here to try to get some drinks because I was getting thirsty. But in the Café Promenade, serving pecan pie, I couldn't pass it. So
next, we have the main event of the evening, 70s Disco Inferno.
Okay, this artwork responds to the pulse rate. Let's see Steve's pulse rate. Well, we just went to the disco, so it's rather fast at the moment.
Thanks, mate.
Before we finish, I'd like to ask you to tell me what you think of the balance between the time I show the cruise part of the trip and the time I show the port excursion part. Do you think I've struck the right balance? Or do you prefer more cruising material? Or perhaps the port excursion interests you more? Leave me a comment below and tell me your thoughts. See you next time.